Joining us now is political analyst Jim Warren, executive editor of NewsGuard, which rates the credibility of news and information sites. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Jim.
Point number one, a debate expert's bottom line.
Yeah, as soon as it was over, I emailed a guy named Todd Graham at Southern Illinois University, who's sort of like the Bill Belichick of debate coaches, won a bunch of national championships. His grades, Harris B+, Trump an F. Quote, Harris was effective. She had clear policy proposals and defended her arguments with evidence. Trump's lying was out of control, making most of his answers meaningless. She had a good but not perfect debate and got off topic several times. That said, bigger picture, what amazed me was how what should have been a referendum and should be a referendum on the last 4 years of the Biden administration became a referendum on Donald Trump instead. She totally turned the tables and made that debate about him.
You say number two is chagrin at Fox.
I was surprised. No sooner did it end, I decided I didn't want to see the cheerleading on MSNBC or CNN. I turned right to Fox. The first analyst out of the box was Brit Hume, former longtime Fox Washington bureau chief, and he said that he clearly, namely Trump, lost. She came out of this in pretty good shape. He rose to her bait. He had a bad night. This was pretty much Harris's night. And he's right. It's almost like Paul Conrad rattling off the suburban temperatures. She was rattling off every possible mistake the guy had made. It was just a litany of things: denying the election, January 6th, bashing John McCain, his adoration of dictators. You name it, she cited it.
All right, number three, a sea of misstatements.
Yeah, CNN's very estimable non-ideological fact checker, Daniel Dale, came up with 34 misstatements. The problem for Trump is that 33 of the 34 were by him. She had one on the state of unemployment during the Biden administration, but almost everything was him, including the nuttiness of the Springfield, Ohio migrants who are eating dogs or something like that. And then he made COVID ventilators for the entire world, and sort of a new one about how different states want to execute babies after birth.
Critics are saying that it was almost 3-on-1, that they maybe, since Trump was making more misstatements, it seemed like they weren't doing any fact-checking on Kamala Harris. Should they have pushed her more?
As we talked about yesterday, this was an impossible task for moderators when it comes to fact-checking. The minute you fact-check somebody, they were going to say you were being unfair.
And they didn't do any of that at CNN. They just let them talk. They didn't do any.
Let them talk. But ABC was ready with a couple of things, particularly the one on, killing babies after their birth, and they hit them with it. And conservative media this morning is saying this made it ABC and Harris against Trump.
Point number four, Trump's missed chances.
Harris really didn't explain her flipping positions on various things, including fracking and immigration, and Trump sort of let her by. The Biden record is not very strong in some of those areas, and I was surprised that neither Trump nor the moderators brought up a recent policy proposal which basically amounts to price control. She's just, she announces she wants to set limits on the prices of groceries. Most economists say, what? That's not going to work. But nobody brought that up.
What did the undecideds think, and how much does a debate matter? Are people that were going to vote for Trump still going to vote for Trump, and vice versa?
We talked yesterday about how if we could watch that debate last night, we would have loved to have done it with independent, undecided women in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and also in the suburbs outside Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, because the belief is that Pennsylvania could be really big, and that's a small group of undecided. I think it was not determinative. There's still 2 months to go. They're not exactly sure what they're going to do, but they probably loved Harris on abortion, which he was very strong on. They are probably still undecided about her and the economy and Biden and prices going up. But I think generally speaking, they probably came away going, okay, this is a pretty formidable person. I've really got to give her serious consideration. And one thing I mentioned to you before, which I really find weird, what was it that triggers Trump when it comes to the size of his crowds? I mean, you could almost see him on camera becoming a little bit unhinged as he said, oh, people leave your 90-minute speeches and they just get tired of you, and he really got super defensive. I don't think that's for a debate coach to explain, or even a journalist, maybe need a psychologist, but I found that really interesting.
All right, Jim, thanks for joining us.
Sure, guys.
Thank you, Jim.